Andrew, thank you. And for more, we're very pleased to be joined by Queens Congressman, the senior member of the House Financial Services Committee, Democrat Gregory Meeks. Congressman, thanks. I think when people got up this morning, they probably figured they'd see the Dow down 300 or 400 points by the time they rang the bell. Instead, it was up, and I think that's in keeping with his cautious optimism that a deal will get done before Thursday. Are you as cautiously optimistic as it seems a lot of other folks?
Well, I think that the market surely is. They can't believe that the Republicans would allow us to default on our debt. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm optimistic that the Senate will get a deal done. Then the question comes, what will happen in the House? Because the House has seemed to be completely irrational. But I would be hopeful that the Speaker Boehner, should the Senate come up with an agreement and send a bill to the House, that Speaker Boehner, even if he can't deal with the irrational Tea Partiers, will put the vote on the floor. Because if you put the bill on the floor, because if you do that, it will pass. We've always said that if you had a clean CR bill on the floor, that Democrats and Republicans can vote on it, will pass. So I'm hopeful that by the Senate coming up with something, it will compel the Speaker to put it on the floor, and we'll vote it, and we'll vote positive for it.
Give an idea to the folks at home. What are the big stumbling blocks with this? Forget all the madness and on the fringe on the outsides. What are the two big main hurdles you guys got to get over to reopen the government and avoid going over the debt limit precipice?
Well, look, you got to first understand, Rich, when you say the hurdles, Democrats didn't put any hurdles. All Democrats ever asked for was, let's keep going. Let's continue to have a continued resolution so that government would stay open and we wouldn't furlough the 800,000 people. And let's raise the debt ceiling as had been done in the past so that we can continue our full faith and credit of the United States. It is the Republicans who decided to intercede with their ideological policies of stopping the Affordable Care Act, which is law, and not elevating the debt ceiling without putting some other drastic cuts into it. So Democrats have not asked for anything, and that's why sometimes when what the president has been saying and scratching his head is, we've always said that we would negotiate, but not with a gun in our head because of shutting down the government or the full faith and credit of the United States. So that being said, I think that what the Senate is working on is a short-term continuing resolution, and the big issue there may be the length of that, because we agreed, even though we didn't have to, for a short term to agree to the numbers that the Republicans were requesting. We thought that would be something to get people back to work. That's been our interest. But at what that period is, so that the sequester, we want to end the sequester, which we think is hurting our economy overall. And that should be part of a negotiation that should take place after we pass both the CR and the and raise the debt ceiling. Then you get into those negotiations that should be worked out. The Senate has a budget, the President has a budget, the House has a budget. A conference committee should be set up. But the Speaker, again, has refused to send anyone to a conference committee so that we can negotiate a budget to move forward.
There are some who say that putting the sequester in the mix makes a tough situation even that much harder. They argue, leave the sequester cuts off the table. I understand what you're saying. They were supposed to be short term and now they're dragging on. But if you leave the sequester stuff off the table, there's a better chance this gets solved by Thursday. What would you say to that?
I still think that, something's going to be worked out from the numbers that I'm talking about, that there'll be a short-term CR up until January, which is fair because what we need to do is to work on. That's what negotiations, we need space to negotiate. And the new sequestered numbers, they won't kick in until, I think, after January 16th to 17th. So let's see if something can be worked out before that. And I think that's the fair thing to do. We agreed to this number simply because we wanted to make sure that we have folks back to work. And that we could then have the opportunity to talk and to negotiate. But clearly we want the economy to move on. And I think Democrats and Republicans can agree that at the sequestered numbers as they are, that will not help and spur our economy on. And that's what we need to do to create jobs and put America to work and help the middle class. So I don't think that there's any muddying of the waters. This is where we were all the time. The only reason that we agreed to the number that the Republicans had is that was a concession in and of itself, because we are so sincere about getting the American people back to work. So that shouldn't be utilized against us, saying that's something new. That's something all along, and we thought that that was giving them something that they wanted at the particular time, and this was not the fight for what we want to see as far as the actual budget number is concerned. That should come after we had a clean CR.
I know so much of this is really, frankly, nuts, and the public has spoken in every poll as to who they blame. That all said, we are here tomorrow, the day after, and we're staring at this deadline, and President calls you up and says, Congressman, they're asking me to give in on, let's say, the medical device tax or some other face-saving gesture. Should the president concede, even if the public's with him and even if he believes in his core he's right, just to avert this going over the debt limit? What kind of concessions, if at all, do you think the president ought to make between now and Thursday?
Listen, look, what the president is saying that we've got to stop this once and for all. If you give in now, then 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months later, we're going to be right back to the same place, and they will try the same tactics again. You can't reward bad behavior with good behavior. So therefore, I think that the American people clearly see what the deal is, as well as a number of Republicans, moderate Republicans, who I think it is their time to stand up. So I would hope that once the Senate brings something over, that the Speaker then brings it to the floor and allow us to have a clear up and down vote. And the moderate Republicans have one other shot. You know, over 200 Democrats have already signed a motion to discharge petition. All we need is 18 or 17 Republicans, and there's at least 24 to 30 of the moderate Republicans who disagree with the Tea Partiers to sign on with us, which will then compel the bill to the floor. So I think that if the Speaker doesn't do the right thing for the country, then those moderate Republicans should do the right thing for the country and sign on to the motion of the discharge so that it compels the bill to the floor so that we can have a straight up and down vote. After all, isn't that what democracy is supposed to be all about, where everyone has a chance to vote his or her feelings, and thereby the bill either rises or falls based upon that vote?
I can't believe we're still talking about this here, and now we're in the middle of October, but as we know, time is running out. A faint bit of optimism today. Congressman, as always, thank you for the time.
Good being with you, Rich, always.